Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Empowerment Through Encouragement. And what we're talking about in this series is about ADD, ADHD. And I've taken a couple weeks to really put some ideas and some different things together. And I wanted to share from my own experience and also working with other clients of what is going on and some of the thoughts, some of the questions. And so I took that time to just contemplate about what it is that people are looking for, what it is that people really want to know, what are the questions behind the question. And one of the other reasons why I do this is because I wish that I would have had this information when I was growing up. I wish my mom would have had access to understanding the maybe ununderstandable, the inability, because the idea behind being a parent or being an influencer, and that could be a teacher, that could be a neighbor, somebody that's bringing influence to a child that has a unique superpower, a unique gift. And this is what I look at ADD or ADHD as a superpower. It's not a problem. And I think many people look at anything that's different as a problem, something that needs to be fixed, rather than something that needs to be channeled. And I challenge that. And this is what I want to present to you today is that ADD, ADHD is something to be channeled, not harnessed, but put in reins to use to the fullest capacity. So what I want you to have an open mind about is, and I'm going to present this in a little bit different way. Now, I want to preface this by saying this is not a lecture. This is not theory. This is not something that you're going to get just out of any textbook. This is my own personal experience, my experience with other people, not only with clients, but with classmates and with coworkers, people who have this superpower called ADD, ADHD. And when we look at it as a superpower, then we can discover unique strengths. What is it that gives the idea of that being a strength rather than a hindrance? And anytime like I said, anytime that we see something that's different, we're afraid of it because we can't control it. This is not something to be controlled. It's to be something to be embraced and celebrated and enjoyed. And I really want to say it like that because, if we all looked alike, we'd all look alike, and then there'd be no change, right? We embrace creativity. We embrace a unique style. And we don't want to be conformed in one pattern. This is what gives us all the inventions that we have. So, what if? And we ask the question, what if? A lot of times we ask, what if this goes wrong? What if? Well, I'm going to propose to you that as we go through this next series, that we look at life and we look at the question, what if, in a positive manner, and say, what if everything that you thought you knew about ADD or ADHD was missing something critical? Okay. What if the very thing that seemed to be a challenge about ADHD was actually clues pointing to strengths waiting to be discovered? What, if we have the 12 pack of crayons and it has 12 colors, yeah, we're limited, right? If you only had the 6 pack, you only have a limited amount. But now you get the box with 128 colors. Now you have a variance, different shades of red, different shades of yellow, different shades of green. You have pastels and you have deep colors, deep hues. Well, this is what ADD and ADHD is all about. It's about having the 2000 colors, and it's learning to embrace and celebrate where each of those elements will come in, because it is the multitude of colors that gives us the ability to experience life in an abundant way and the way that we were designed to create, to experience it. Now, today I want there's a word that I use a lot of times when I'm working with clients. Or actually, when I'm in this grocery store, I'll do that. I will say, what if we reframe that? When I go to a counter and I ask the teller or the cashier, I say, how you doing today? And they say, I'm doing good. I said, what would it take to make it great? And they said, well, nobody's ever asked me that before. And so when we reframe what it is that we hear, and we raise it up in a celebratory way, the outcome is beyond our imagination. And I'm all about imagination. You know this. And I say that imagination is the only limitation to transformation. If we quit imagining, we quit creating, and that's when transformation really takes root. So why does this matter? Well, today we're here to reframe ADHD as something not to be managed, but as a powerful strength, waiting to be unleashed, unlocked. So you're not just here to handle changes or challenges. You're not just here to handle, oh my gosh, I just got to get through the day. How many times have we said that? Because we looked at the challenge as a roadblock, and we're missing the greater picture. Well, what if you were here to actually help your child discover their superpowers? What if you, who are dealing with ADD or ADHD in your own life, looked at it from a different angle, looked at it from outside the jar? I say that you can't read the label on the inside of the jar. Another saying is, people miss the trees because the forest is in the way. And sometimes we're tripping over a 4-leaf clover that we never saw before. Oh, that was a song, wasn't it? Yeah. So, what if we're tripping over a 4-leaf clover that we never saw before? And it takes us falling down before we get over and we look and we say, that's the very thing that I've been looking for, and I'm tripping over it. What if you're not just here to handle this as a challenge? Okay. It's a superpower. Imagine the very thing that seems challenging could be the very gift that your child has. That's what we're here to explore. And as we go through this, I want you to think about this as a journey. Something that you become the guide. Now, we all love a good movie, right? Well, a movie has levels. There's always a problem. There's a villain. There's a victim. And there's a hero in the making, and there's a guide. Well, I'm not here to be your hero. I'm here to be your guide. And what I want to do is I want to encourage you as you take this role on, not just with ADHD, but in all dimensions in your life, and see that your experience, your perception can now become harnessed, challenged, changed, reframed to where you begin to be the influencer of those that are around you. And if your child has ADD or ADHD, then you become the guide. You see, the thing about the hero in any good story is that there's always a challenge. There's something that needs to be gotten over. And sometimes, children especially, they get frustrated when things don't go the way they vision them to go. And they're trying to put a round peg into a square hole, and it will not fit. And they can get frustrated and want to quit. Now, as a guide, you can come along and not do it for them, but to say, hey, what does this look like? Does it look like the one that has 4 corners, or does it look like something different? And you're not giving them the answer. You're just helping them to evaluate. And one of the things that I'm amused by, I love this. So I do this thing with my granddaughter, and they love playing with coins. And so we do the quarters, the nickels, the dimes, and the pennies. And from a perception, when you don't know what the value is, you just know you can simulate or assimilate what it is. They're silver. So the dimes, the nickels, and the quarters are silver. And we'll do what is this? I don't know. And I go, well, think. And she'll go, think, because I've done this. Think thing. And she'll go, think. It's a quarter. And I go, that's right. So I haven't given her the answer. And then what I'll do is I'll say, now I want you to pick all the quarters, all the ones that look like that. Well, the quarters and the nickels are pretty close to size, they're close in size. And sometimes she'll go to grab the nickel and she'll go, is this a quarter? And I go, well, you tell me, think about it. Now she's 3 years old. But what I'm doing is I'm not giving her the answer. I'm allowing her to develop that. So as we do this with our children, as they bring us something, as they are over energized, how can we help them channel that in a right way? So as I said, this is not a lecture. I want to invite you to join me in this conversation. This is an interactive, and I know I'm here by myself, but I'm going to pretend, if you'll join me on that journey of pretending that this is an interactive conversation based on the conversations that I have with other people. And maybe you will find your question or your thought coming to mind as I bring these thoughts up, these what if questions. And I'm going to ask you to reflect on this. Take some time to think about this. You may want to go back and rewatch this. So this isn't about theory. This isn't a lecture. I'm here to help you and help you celebrate the strengths that your child has in their own unique journey. So feel free to pause, reflect, and think about these questions as you go along. And you might even want to grab a piece of paper and a pencil and write some of these notes down. And here again, I want to put this in here too. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Share this with people that you know. Now, I know thousands of people could use this message. How do I know that? Because I wish I would have had this message. I wish I would have had this conversation when I was growing up, because I didn't understand myself. I was different than the other kids. When I felt fidgety, when I felt like I wanted to just run, when I wanted to build something, when I wanted to do something that other kids were just not really interested in, I felt like an oddball. And I wish I would have had somebody. I did actually have somebody, a principal in another school when I was in the second grade, bought me a 2-year membership to the YMCA. And he said, enroll this kid into every activity that he can get into. Because what he was doing is he saw my strengths and he saw my superpowers. And so I'm taking my own life experience and I'm bringing it forward. And I hear parents frustrated day after day after day. This is a common conversation. So I want you to be invited to join me on this journey as you take these notes. So grab a piece of paper and let's make some big differences today for the future for tomorrow. So the question is, what if ADD, ADHD is actually a strength disguised as a challenge? Well, let's take a moment and look at it from a fresh perspective. So often it's seemed, or it's viewed upon as a series of obstacles to overcome. Like there's this constant battle. It's a love-hate relationship. And it's a constant battle. It's a constant obstacle. It's a constant interaction. And the definition of insanity is do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result. And if you're fighting the challenge, if you're going head to head over and over and you're not getting anywhere day after day after day, maybe, just possibly maybe, we can take a different look at it and look at it from a perspective from, let's say, 30,000 feet away. And when we zoom out and we look at the things that we're experiencing, we get a different perspective and we get a different perception. So imagine that every frustration that you feel around ADHD is an invitation. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, an invitation. I have an invitation every hour. Every waking hour is an invitation. This is ridiculous. Just bear with me just a moment. What if ADHD was like a treasure map? What if it was that journey, okay? That as you're going up a trek, if you're going up a mountain, if you only look at the dirt trail that you're walking on, you will miss the beauty that is all around you. Excuse me. But what if you pause for just a moment? Give me a second here. What if every obstacle was actually a hidden strength? What if we looked at it as, what is that obstacle that appears to be an obstacle, but if it was actually the way of the journey? Here again, remember, you love a good movie because the hero in the story, the one that you're cheering for, has all these obstacles. Without the obstacles, the movie would be kind of bland. You turn it off in 5 minutes. You change a channel. You wouldn't pay for the movie. It would be boring. But every obstacle is what makes the movie. Excuse me. But what if these obstacles were actually signals pointing to the strength? Traits like boundless curiosity, creative thinking, and a natural ability to see outside of the box. We get so wrapped up in what we've gotten used to, the boundaries, the confinement of that's the way that we do it. You know, I remember being told, I asked a question. I said, why do we do that? And they said, well, that's the way we've always done it. I go, oh, well, I don't like that. What if we did it something different? Well, we don't do it that way. And I go, oh, well, what if we did? Well, we just don't do it that way. Well, but what if we did? What would be the challenge? What would be the difference that we would get? And as we open our perception, there was even more creativity. And it was like, wow, why didn't we ever think about that before? And I just said, because you don't have ADD. Okay. And that's exactly what I said. And this is the beauty of embracing the gifts that we have that makes us all unique. So think about this for a moment. When your child surprises you. Now, I love surprises that I love, and I don't like surprises that I don't like. Okay. So let me just put that out there on the marker. But, and here's the but, it negates everything that I just said. I don't like surprises that I don't like, but I do like surprises sometimes. And one of those surprises are, maybe creativity is outside of the border. Maybe it's getting outside and it's looking at things differently. Traits that seem challenging, but maybe are holding that untapped potential. Could that be? So what if these moments that were really surprising you were surprising you with their insights, with their creativity, with their ability to connect ideas in a different way? I mean, isn't that what every great inventor did? Was they connected ideas, they tabulated, they brought them all together, kind of like brain mapping. You put all these ideas on a board, and you begin to bring them in at different places, creating a blueprint. And what if these ideas were actually unexpected new adventures, new creations? What if we reframed these thoughts and ideas that come up as clues to their strength? I had a conversation last night, and one of the things that I said was, if you listen to a person, they will tell you exactly who they are. And this is why, when we listen to a person, they're giving us clues, they're giving us ideas and hints about who they are. And when we allow it to not be interrupted, then we have the opportunity to look at it from a different perspective. So what if, let's say today or tonight, you notice one strength that you hadn't noticed before? Now, to find that strength, you actually have to go and look for it. It can't just be same old, same old, same old. We actually have to become investigators in our own story. And as we do this, we begin to look at, why is it that they're hyped up when they come home from school? Why is it, well, what could be, rather than, when my kids got home from school, we didn't make them do their homework right after school, because they sat in a classroom for 8 hours, and now they're bringing homework home that the teacher couldn't get done in the class because she was given an agenda by the higher ups to have so much that has to be done. And so if they couldn't get it done, then they sent it home for us to do their work. And that was the idea, was, hey, they're already stressed out. Now they got to do more work. So it was, you take 45 minutes. You don't do any schoolwork. 45 minutes. Go do your thing. Go play. Go have fun. Go do whatever. Breathe some fresh air. Then come home. Then come back in and do some work. And if you have a problem, if you have a challenge, I'm here to help you. Now that seemed to be a whole lot easier than saying, get your homework done, get the first thing done, and then you can go play. Well, it was almost like punishment. So we changed that. So that's what I'm asking you to do. Notice some of these things that normally frustrate you. Write them down. And write them down in a way, why does this frustrate me? What if this didn't frustrate me? What else could this mean? Reframing the experience, getting a greater outcome. So one of the questions that I've had people ask me is, how can I support my child with unique strengths when their ADHD feels overwhelming? Because listen, I am not exempt from the stress of normal life. Now you add a child that has an abundance of energy. Now I know what my mom went through. I had an abundance of energy and she didn't know how to handle it. And it was very frustrating for her. It was different. I don't know that she'd maybe ever seen anybody with ADHD. And, me having it, hey, it wasn't always a pleasant experience from my perspective. Okay. So understand that when I was given the opportunity to channel my strengths, when that principal bought me a 2-year membership to the YMCA, and he said, enroll him in everything. I was in swim team. I was on the dive team. I was in gymnastics. I was playing racquetball early on. I mean, I just went into the court and just hit the ball with the racket. And then I got into obstacle courses and different things like that. And I got into wrestling and all of the different activities, and running and playing and jumping. All of these activities channeled my strengths. And I began to do things and experience an abundance. And I saw this as a superpower. So as a parent, as you cross over this new territory, this journey isn't about fixing anything, because there's nothing broken. It's just about guiding your child to see the power in their traits, in their specific traits. So picture each challenge as a door opening as you walk through it together, as you walk right behind them, because they're always looking for your encouragement. They're always looking for that validation. I mean, there isn't a person alive, I don't care if you're a gorilla, you're looking for validation. And as a child, being validated for our uniqueness, isn't that what we tell them to be? Isn't that what we're shaping them to become? Didn't we wish that somebody looked like that for us? And this is what I do when I'm coaching. I'm the validator. I come in beside the person that is going through a situation, or going through a time, or going through a period. It's so hard sometimes when the mirror is mirrored, when it is clouded, when it's covered, we can't see our reflection. Trying to look at our reflection in the ocean, it's almost impossible until the water stills completely. And it does happen at the ocean. And the reason why I use the ocean, not a lake or not a pond or a river, is because the ocean is constantly in movement. But there are times when it really does settle down and you can get a glimpse. But as a coach, I help people calm the waters and see things in a different light. And when we can take that energy, when we can take the high energy of a child and find activities that really embrace and empower and encourage their strengths rather than see it as a frustration, that's when life changes. So the cost of this inaction, the cost of you just listening to me as a sounding board will actually keep you from experiencing another abundant level of life. Imagine if we only focused on managing ADHD. You could be missing the deeper connection with your children and with the chance to be fully influential. And, one of the things that I do as a postural specialist, people, I hear this term, pain management. It's like jumbo shrimp. It's an oxymoron. I don't believe in managing pain. It's just kind of ridiculous to me. I don't believe that you manage ADHD. I believe that you channel it, that you embrace it, that you direct it and you guide it in a manner and you celebrate it. And when you learn how to put that power into a direction, life changes. Unlike any other thing, it changes completely and forever. When we celebrate, we become the guide for their strengths. And we're building blocks, we're creating a blueprint of their resilience and their self-confidence. When we can embrace our unique identity, that's when life changes. So what if focusing on these strengths transforms your whole family? That's a novel idea. You see, I'm excited about this as if we were having this conversation in person, face to face. And the reason is because this can actually transform your entire family. Everybody gets involved. It's just like if you have a child that plays a sporting event, everybody goes to celebrate, to validate, to embrace the uniqueness that child has. Because the one voice, the one person that they're looking for in the crowd is you. You as a parent, you as a spouse, you as a partner in the business. And they're looking for that guide, the one that can see the field. Because if they're out there playing in the middle of the field, it's hard to see what's around. I mean, look at all the football games. They've got one guy that's talking into a microphone, and he's seeing things at a different perspective. And so the players are out there watching and they're looking and he's going like, go around the different way, because there's somebody up in the box that's looking at it from an aerial view. Then you've got the ground view guy. Well, or gal, this is what we have the opportunity to do. So meeting them as their mentor. In this journey, you're not just the parent, because, hey, let me share some light with you. There's going to come a day when they don't need you as much. And for the first 18 years, they need you. And they really need you to be their support. They really need you to give them that validation. They really need you to see their uniqueness in such a way that nobody else does. And you have that ability. And the truth of the matter is, for the first 5 or 6 years, you're around them more than anybody else. But after that, They go to school and they're around other people for 8 hours or more, depending on when they get on the bus and when they get off the bus. Some kids are away from home for 10 hours. Then they come home and they do some homework. You sit down, you have a couple hours with them, they get up. And if you have this experience that is chaotic, the idea that they get is they don't want to be there. So we want to make the most of the event while they're there, because there's going to come a time when they don't need you as much. They'll always need you, but they may not need you as much. So take this role on as a mentor. Your child's growth hinges on you seeing their traits and their strengths. So try celebrating something small today with that child. Notice even one creative, compassionate act. I used to have these little Post-it notes, and it was caught you doing something right. And if you can, Post-it notes are pretty cheap and you can just write on there. If you find them doing something right, give them a Post-it note that says, caught you doing something right. And I'm going to celebrate it. It seems like a simple idea, but it can really make a big difference. It's a reward system. It triggers that natural dopamine. When you catch them doing something right, is it being acknowledged? Or is it only when they do something wrong that they get acknowledged? And for a child with ADHD, let me tell you, I wish my mom would have had this information and acknowledged when I did something right rather than when I did something wrong, because that created my identity. Now, I feel very fortunate that I grew up the way that I grew up, because it made me who I am today. And it gave me a drive and a passion to help and to inspire other people. And it is out of our pains that we can make a transformation. We can bring it about. So tonight, specifically tell them how you see their unique strengths. This is your challenge. Tell them how one way you see their unique strengths, and imagine what that reinforcement will do to shift their own self-image. So here's another thing. Each night, like I said, this is an interactive conversation. I hope that you grabbed a piece of paper and you're making some notes, and maybe you just want to go back and re-watch this. But remember, think about this. When you go to bed at night and the last conversation or the last thing that you thought of, and you go to bed with that thought, generally, isn't that what you wake up with the next day? What if you went to bed? What if somebody did this for you? What if somebody told you how amazing you look? This is the beauty about being in love and winning an accolade or something. And we go to bed and somebody says, I love you. And when we tell ourselves, I love you, before we go to bed, we wake up feeling that love. Not just saying the words, hey, you did a great job today. No, what was the great job that I did today? What was the event? What was the act that was so great that you thought that it was important enough to acknowledge? What was that act? Hey, you got a D+ on your science project. That's so much better than that F that you got last time. I just want to celebrate that. Really? You want to celebrate a D+? Yeah, it's better than the F. I just want you to know I'm proud of you, because it shows that you're bringing your creativity forward. Let me ask you just right now, that wouldn't that make a difference? Rather than, oh, you got a D+. Well, that sucks. That's not good enough. You can do better than that. You just didn't put any effort into it. Now, which one of those is going to make you want to achieve more, right? So what if we did that right before they went to bed? Hey, thanks for picking up your toys today. I really appreciate that. I just think that that's great. That's awesome. One of the things that I would say when my son was growing up, and I wanted to see some different changes. I said, You're 6 years old now. You're not five anymore. And 6-year-olds don't do what 5-year-olds do. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate you doing what big boys do, what 6-year-olds do. Really? Yeah. Wow. Okay. And it was an incentive. It wasn't BS. It just gave him a different perspective, that now that he was no longer five, because 5-year-olds do that. 6-year-olds, they don't do that so much. They do what you did today. So I want to celebrate that. And it makes a difference. It created a bond. And it took it took that confidence level in their own self-identity into a higher level. And they didn't see it. And he didn't see it as a challenge anymore. He thought, this is my identity. This is what I do. Wow. That's awesome. I graduated from 5 to 6. So what if your family's journey with ADHD is your own hero's journey? Remember I said in the beginning, there is the hero's journey. The hero has a problem. There's a villain, there's a victim, there's a problem. There are many situations, there's challenges, and then there's a guide that comes along. The guide is not the hero. The guide comes in and says, let's reframe this. Let's look at this from a different perspective. And I'm going to train you to do some things. And as you accelerate, as you create this, the road of trials is actually your road to fulfillment. And I want to encourage you that this isn't about fixing things. As I said in the beginning, this isn't about fixing things, because nothing is broken, but it's an adventure that you can take together. You as the parent are the mentor. You're the guide who helps uncover their strengths. Every challenge becomes a step closer to realizing their unique abilities. And, sometimes I'll get tongue-tied, just like I've done a couple times here. It's not a big deal. If you're looking for a perfect podcast, you might want to go somewhere else, because I'm not perfect. Well, don't tell me that, but okay. So how might have a little humor there? Lighten up. I know you're getting real serious. I mean, lighten up just a little bit here. All right. So how could your perspective shift if you saw yourself as the guide to your child to help them discover their superpowers, rather than just managing the symptoms? Let me get a drink, will you? So what if we could do that? Every hero faces these trials. Every journey has its ups and downs. Each struggle brings a new opportunity. Every time you go up a mountain, one of the things that I have people do is I say, go to work on a different path. Go, walk that journey in a different direction. Maybe you'll see something different. Because if you do the same thing every day, over and over and over, nothing is new. So if you change it up and you challenge the thought, you begin to discover different things. And if we do that internally, we begin to discover our unique gifts. So I want you to think about maybe keeping a journal. And it doesn't have to be a long journal, but just make little notes, a place where you write down their strengths, things that you saw that they did, or things that you did. Let's say you're alone and you're listening to this and you've got ADHD. What is it that you saw or you did today that was different in a new way? What new creative idea? I love the kitchen. I love cooking. So there will be many times when I do not use a recipe. More than often than not, I don't use a recipe. And I'm like, what would a little bit of thyme in here taste like? What would a little bit of sage? I know we don't use sage for everything, but what if we just added a little bit of cardamom? What if we added a little cinnamon to it? These are things that are healthy. What would be, and if it doesn't taste good, we can toss it out. But what if we added just a little bit different flavor to our life? What could we come up with? So it becomes a visible story of growth, a reflection of how far you've come together. Without this journey of appreciation, we might miss the chance to celebrate and to grow with our children and know that they are a contributor to society rather than this narrow view of ADHD. It's like, they've got ADHD. Kids won't tell you that they have it because they've seen it as a defect. And this is where I want to challenge the narrative. It's not a defect. It's a superpower. This is where I want to encourage you to appreciate that your child is unique and so are you. And recognizing their strengths creates the foundation for a lifelong self-worth. So how can you help your child believe in themselves even when ADHD feels like a barrier? This is where you create that blueprint. The greatest gift that you can give them is to help them see themselves as capable and valued. Building a routine around positive affirmations and strengths. Not giving a trophy to everybody. Okay, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that everybody gets a trophy. I don't believe that. But to create what their uniqueness is and to celebrate that. And when you do that and you create a reward system for them, a celebration system for them, now you're building their strengths, you're building their identity. And you share these stories with others, how they turned their challenges into superpowers. I mean, every superhero always has a villain, and they have a problem. They have a unique strength, and they want to know how to use it. And one of the things that I love about Superman is that when he was Clark Kent, he wanted to just be normal. He just wanted to be fit in, but he had this superpower. And when he saw something that was out of sorts, when somebody was being hurt or when somebody was being victimized or marginalized, he couldn't take it. And so he had to go into this phone booth. I know a lot of people don't even know what those look like anymore, but they had to go into that phone booth, and he changed, and he changed from Clark Kent to Superman. He was no longer the geek with glasses. Not that geeks wear glasses, but he just wanted to be that hidden person. He was hiding behind his true identity, which was Superman. He had a superpower that he kept putting the average clothes on. And when we celebrate Superman for what he was able to do, inside, Clark Kent felt powerful, but he hid it. But he learned how to channel it. He learned how to harness it. He learned how to use it and not manage it in a suppressive way. It's about returning with self-belief. So I want you to imagine a future where your child looks back and he knows that their unique way of thinking is something to be celebrated. Start with a simple journal, a strength journal, and you can name it that, a strength journal. Each entry is an element of discovery of self-worth, something that they will carry around and look forward to with pride. So I'm going to ask you to do something. This is your call to action. Begin today. Don't put this off till tomorrow. Don't say at another time I'll do this, at a better time I'll do this. Begin today. Note a strength, just one strength. Look for it. Sometimes that may be a challenge if you've had a conversation earlier in the day and now the end of the day, and you're remembering that conversation of the things that they didn't do. But look for their strength and see what that does to the environment. Share it with them before they go to bed. Remember, I said the last thing that you think about before you go to bed is generally the first thing that you think about when you rise up. And I've had many, many, many conversations with people in the evenings, and or later in the day after they've gone through a situation. And now their evening is calmed down. Now when they go to bed, it's like, wow, I got a different perspective. And they wake up with a different idea, a different attitude the next day. And I know that as we do this with ourselves, if we change and we mention 3 things that we're grateful for, it changes not only the trajectory of our sleep quality, but the way that we wake up with a different mindset. So remember, you're not here to fix your child. You're here to help them uncover their superpowers that they already have. You're helping them build a legacy of resilience and pride. So as we wrap this up, how might you shift your perspective in a way that you see the challenge as an invitation to find a hidden strength? What kind of impact might you have for your child that you can see on a bigger scale for your family in the journey? Empower that and envision that empowered life. Imagine your child now in the future. Let's step outside the box for just a moment as we wrap this up. Imagine your child in the future and all the things that you invested into them and the growth that they're experiencing and the confidence, knowing that they're valued and they're capable, that maybe nobody else has done it the way that they're going to do it, and giving them that gift. That's so much better than anything that you can put under the tree. When you put it inside them, this isn't just about them. This is about you. It's about your family. It's about their future family. One step at a time, and it begins today. Choosing to celebrate their strength today creates a future where they feel empowered, loved, and truly seen. So the challenge is take these small steps and actions now in a constant and never-ending process, because until we breathe our last breath, we're constantly a work in progress. And contrast it with the cost of inaction. People will ask me, well, what is the cost of investment? What's the return of my investment here? And my question is, what's the cost of your inaction? You see, the cost of inaction is much, much, much greater than any monetary thing that you'll invest. If you're having trouble, if you're stuck in this and you want someone to come along and be your mentor, be your guide, book a call with me. And you can go to my website and you can book a virtual call. It's a virtual coffee. We'll have a chat, 30-minute call, and see what it is that you want to overcome. Until then, until we meet again, possibly next Thursday, same time at 9:00. And let's just see what takes place between now and then. And let's just take the next 7 days and see how your life has been an influence for your child's life and for your family's life. Until then, have an outstanding week, and I will see you then.